We were really stressed out. We thought we need to find this £1 million in a few days.
We had to be speedy with this deal. You know, they wanted it to be cash and they wanted it to be quick.
Expect him to put the full $1 million in, did we?
Yeah, that's it. So you raised £1 million in a day.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Fantastic.
If you've got a company like Greg signing a 10-year lease, you know what you're getting every month.
People are always going to eat sausage rolls.
That's it. Just from the one unit, you know, it's enough to make two people financially free. You know, talking about 80, 85 grand a year, aren't we? So, you know, we're like 20, 30 grand into this deal. Do we stick with this and maybe lose this deal, or do we approach other investors that we know?
Hey guys, Ben here and welcome to Motivation to Invest. Today we're going to be joined by two very special guests. These two guys had humble beginnings before moving on to investing into HMO properties. They then moved on to a commercial to residential conversion, and they even raised £1 million in a single day. We're going to dive into their story. We're going to dive into their investing tips, their challenges, and all the things you need to know if you want to get started in property, or if you're already in property and you just want to improve your own investing knowledge. And with that being said, let's dive in.
Before we kick things off, why don't you start with telling us a little bit about your property journey? How did you get started? You want me to start with you, Rob, and then Aidan?
I'm originally from an architecture background. So I studied architecture at university. Wasn't a huge fan of the course. I was kind of just glad to get it over and done with. And then I moved around a few jobs after that, and I couldn't really find anything which I liked. You know, I didn't really like working for someone else.
Yeah. You want to work for yourself.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I felt a bit of a slave, really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
it's a common feeling, yeah.
What triggered me wanting to invest in property was kind of out of sheer laziness, really. I didn't want to work the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I think just through a conversation with someone else, I kind of got the idea that property might be a good thing to get into. I like the idea of having a passive income stream. So the rent just coming in every month, and you know, I could be on a beach somewhere. You know what I mean? It's not really panned out like that so far. No, I don't think I'd want it to be like that either. But
the dream's there, isn't it?
The dream's there.
Financial freedom.
Yeah, and it's having
passive income.
Just the freedom to spend your time how you like.
Not someone telling you what to do. You got to do this. You got to do that.
What kind of started changing my mindset was around when I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh yeah.
It sounds cliche to say, but that book changed my life, really.
Yeah.
You know, because
that triggers a lot of people.
Robert I've heard it a lot. I've heard it, Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, it just changed my mindset over what I thought was possible. You know, I thought that I could be a success, and it's not just something for someone else to achieve. You know, I could do that. Kind of changed my mindset around money, and you know how you want your money to work for you rather than working for the money.
Yeah. Cash flow quadrant, that's where it is, isn't it? Yeah.
That's it.
So you've got employee, self-employed, investor, and then the investor has the money working for them rather than them working for the money.
That's it, exactly, yeah. And then just after I'd read that book, I saw, I think this was maybe the same way as Aidan, but I saw an ad on Facebook to attend a Rich Dad Poor Dad course.
Oh God, yeah.
And
must be fate.
Yeah, it must be fate. And me being like naive, I thought Robert Kiyosaki's going to be there. I thought he was going to be there, but yeah, it wasn't like that. I know now it was like an introduction to this property investment course, and you get an upsell at the end. I just really like the sound of it. I paid the £1,000 to attend the next 3 day, and then I was upsold again to the further courses and so on. You know how it works. Just started getting educated about property, and I started investing in property alongside my day job. I eventually got sacked from my job.
Right. Yeah.
Because my heart wasn't in it. You know, my heart wasn't in it, and it kind of blew up, really.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm not happy. I was like, I'm not happy. I'm leaving. And it was sooner than I would have liked. I wasn't prepared for it at the time, but you know, looking back, it was one of the best things that could have happened, because it made me, you know, make a success of it. And be full time in property. So
sometimes you need that. You need a sink or swim moment, like where you just pushed out, and you've got to sink or you swim.
Yeah.
And so you need that motivation sometimes.
Yeah, that's what it was like, and it felt really uncomfortable at the time.
Yeah.
But looking back, it was a good thing. We met on this property education course, and originally we were just going to do one property deal together.
Yeah.
As like a joint venture type thing. But we found that the relationship worked. My strengths were his weaknesses and vice versa. We kind of complemented each other, started a company and started investing together, and not really looked back.
Now that makes a lot of sense. They say, there's a quote by Warren Buffett, the best investment you can make is in yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's where you get the best return in education. And there's a lot of talk of, all these different property courses, and people say they're a scam and they're not worth it and all this. But I think the proof that some of these do work is the fact that you guys sitting right here and getting the tools and the education early to actually invest into property.
Yeah.
And I do feel that, making that financial commitment, it does push you into making sure that you succeed. Whereas, I openly say to people, I feel if I would have just paid £1,000, I feel I would have quit personally. But because I've made such a financial commitment to it, there was no option to sort of quit. And
we both paid about £20,000 each to be on this course.
Well, there you go.
Which, looking back, was a hell of a lot of money. And when I was ashamed about telling people, because they were like, "Are you crazy? You've been scammed." And maybe we had to a certain extent. I don't know. I mean, the education was good, but there was no way I was going to quit and lose that amount of money after that.
So maybe it's like what Aidan said, because you made that financial commitment, psychologically, you're going to make sure. Makes a lot of sense. So I think there's a lot of truth in that. 100%. So with your story, Aidan, you're similar, and then you went onto this course, and then you obviously met there.
So I left school and I was an apprentice bricklayer. Done that for a couple of years, but just realised the money's absolutely rubbish. It's not now. Brickies are on serious money at the minute, but it was just after recession and stuff. It's £70 a day, and if it's raining, you're not getting paid and all that sort of stuff. So I just had enough of that. Although it was good looking back now, because I learned a lot about construction and stuff like that, which could take that forward into the property business. And it was just, there was no way I could see myself getting into a better position, staying in that job. Just, I can't keep really living my life like this, working all these hours, not really making any good money anymore. Some months were great, but the bad months were really bad as well. So, and it was around this time when I've also seen one of these, adverts, what Rob mentions. And I actually remember sat on the car pitch thinking, I don't even remember signing up to this advert.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
how good it
phone
was.
rang. Yeah, well, that's it. I don't even remember signing up to it. And if the phone rang and they said, you're just making sure you're actually still going to come tomorrow, because if not, other people can fill your seat and stuff. I remember phoning my dad, like, Dad, you're going to come with me tomorrow? And he said, yeah, I'll come with you. But it's like, my dad was really up for it, because he came to the course and he sort of got sold, what I got sold. But my mum was sort of against it, like, you must be crazy, what you think, 25k or whatever. Yeah. So that's how I got into the room. And when you're in there, you're just all buzzed up. People are telling you how much they've earned, and how you can go and find these property deals, and you can get that out there. You don't need any of your own money, which all of it is very true, but it is also very hard to get to that level as well.
The theory is a lot easier than the practice.
So a lot of it is very tough. You have to keep going even when you feel like you're getting nowhere. Like I said, if I would have only paid £1,000, I feel like I would have quit. First year, I didn't get any results, at all. Didn't get any offers accepted, didn't find anyone who wanted to invest in what we were doing. But it's just being consistent, and I feel the answer to that consistency was the financial commitment that I put down, and not being able to, go back to my mum and say, you're right. It was a scam. I've not done anything. So I had to prove people wrong, and I guess that's where we started meeting up, because a lot of, like Rob said, a lot of my strengths were his weaknesses, and a lot of my weaknesses were his strengths. So sort of gelled together really.
So
and that's
what
where we
are your
started
strengths
growing
and
a bit
weaknesses?
quicker.
So
Brief.
So I'm from an architecture background, so I'm quite good at visualizing spaces, which is handy when it comes to apartment conversions and that type of thing. I'm also quite good on a computer. I'm quite techy.
Organising.
Whereas Aidan, he's from a building background,
more practical.
He's good. I'm more office based. He's more site based. He's not great on computers, so that's where I come in. So we're able to complement each other.
That's quite a good mix. You need that with property, especially because I feel like you do need the mix of practical and sort of theory side, because you need to be able to just go in there and build things and also know how things are built and deal with builders and hiring bricklayers and hiring these people. And knowing that they're not going to rip you off when they give you a quote for something.
Yeah, so you need to know like the rough prices of things, the way that the structure that stuff should be built, and the order it should be built in and stuff like that. But likewise, you need to be on top of everything, such as paperwork, invoices, drawings. And without Rob, I don't feel like I would have been able to be on top of all that stuff, if I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Okay, so let's take a step back a second. So how many years ago did you start that property course?
So 2016.
So that was 2016. And then you did a property deal together. What was that? Was that just a standard house? Was that
it was a HMO, wasn't it?
HMO?
Yeah, it was a HMO, yeah. So I'd done a couple of buy-to-let deals on my own. And then, so after the buy-to-lets, the next kind of natural progression was to do like a HMO, a house of multiple occupancy at that point. And Aidan had some money from his car sales business.
The first deal where we were talking about, potentially just doing the one deal together and seeing how it goes. And then from there, we just done, another deal to where we are today, basically.
So how many HMOs have you sort of accumulated over that point, or have you sort of transitioned out of that now?
Yeah, we have recently just changed strategy, actually, more to a kind of capital strategy, because at the start we were all about income. We need to replace our income from our day jobs. So we did accumulate quite a number of properties at that point.
I think we did about 7, didn't we? 7 HMOs in the first 18 months.
Yeah.
That's a lot, in a short period of time.
And so the income was good, and that allowed us to kind of be full-time in property. More recently, we're selling our portfolio just because we find that tenants are a bit of a headache. And I think it was mainly around COVID, really, like when we had tenants not paying and that kind of thing. And
I think it's because the realisation as well of, when they teach you about, income, because then you can just quit whenever you want. But the reality is, the sort of people that we are, I don't ever want to quit because I enjoy what I'm doing. So even if I've got 10k a month coming in from HMOs, it's not going to make me think, well, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to buy any more properties. I don't want to find any more. That's what keeps me going. It's the drive of wanting to do more, wanting to find more properties, not because I'll get more income, You get to a point where that doesn't really matter. You don't really want loads of income, even though you wouldn't do it for free.
Yeah.
You're not just buying just for income. You're buying because you want to, you want to grow more wealth. You want to leave more stuff down to your family and stuff like that when it comes to that time. But still, we just want blue chip tenants or lump sums of profit.
Well, it's a lot of management HMOs. You're dealing with multiple tenants in a single property, and then you're doing that multiple times with multiple HMOs.
Yeah. So at one point, I think we had like 45 tenants as well, and it was just
45 tenants. Yeah.
So, and we were outsourcing the management to a management company, but they weren't the best. And
I've had bad experience with management companies also.
Yeah, and you still need to manage them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
They're a nightmare.
Yeah.
I find some management, not all of them, but some of them, they sit in the middle. And they just make the communication difficult, because the tenant speaks to them, they've got a problem. They'll speak to you, you'll tell them, and then they'll blame you. The tenant will blame the agent will blame the landlord.
And they don't have the same passion as well for the property that you obviously are going to have when you own it.
Yeah.
I can't speak for all agents, obviously, but the ones that we were working with didn't.
Yeah. We still own HMOs, and I think I told you about it like the other week when we met up, is we've got HMOs let to social housing providers, and they all take the property on like a 7-year lease. So it is like what Aidan said, like a blue chip tenant, passive income.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And,
that's what you want.
So we wanted to transition from having the private ones over to having the social housing stock. And now now we've got the social housing stock, we just want to earn lump sums of profit and potentially even keep some commercial stuff with the blue, the bigger blue chip tenants.
So you've gone from HMOs, you've still got a few with the social housing. What's this new deal?
So this new deal is the biggest deal we've done. It's in Chester. So we did one around the corner, similar to this deal, but a lot smaller. It was a commercial to resi conversion deal. We did a barber shop on the ground floor, and we converted the upper floors into 3 apartments.
Okay, that's quite good.
Yeah. And then we actually held onto those apartments and ran them as serviced accommodation. Like short-term lets.
Yeah.
And so this new deal is it was commercial to resi again, it's 3 commercial units on the ground floor, and then it was just kind of ancillary space above, storage.
Yeah.
And we're converting the upper floors into 7 apartments.
Nice.
And yeah, 3 commercial units on the ground floor.
Okay, so what sort of tenants have you got in the sort of ground apartments?
So one of them is Max Spielman, the photo shop. We've just sold that unit off, actually.
Yeah.
Which was a good part of the deal, in my opinion. De-risked the whole scheme, didn't it? Because we did secure a good price for that before we actually purchased it, didn't we? So
yeah, so before we bought the building, we had a sale agreed to sell one of the units off.
That's good, yeah.
And that is going to fund the build, the conversion cost, which is good. And the remaining 2 units, one's vacant and the other one is like just a phone shop.
Yeah.
What the plan is to knock the 2 units together, and we've had interest from some blue chip tenants like Greg's, the fragrance shop.
Yeah.
About taking that unit.
That sounds good. Yeah, that's what you need. Tenants like Greg's, people consistent, and they're going to sign obviously very long lease, probably like 5, 10 years. I think
if I was wanting, like I was mentioning before, if we was wanting to keep stock, it would be that sort of stock, with the blue chip tenants, with people, who are just going to pay the rent.
Yeah, that's real passive income.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because when it's just HMOs at the start, it's a lot of, you're on a treadmill, you're working, that is a job. You're running these HMOs, you're managing them, you're doing refurb, you're doing maintenance. It's a lot of work. Whereas as you sort of develop your strategy and you scale up, you can say, okay, we can make money and get our time as well.
Yeah.
By getting these blue chip tenants.
And the income of the HMOs, it fluctuated so much from month to month. You might have more maintenance, or the bills might be more. So we were finding that, you might have tenants moving in and out, so you've got tenant fees. So we were finding that the rent was, the income was varying so much between month to month, and especially if you want to live off that incme.
Yeah,
it's hard to plan lifestyle off. Unless you've got literally a lot of units, and you can handle the losses or the voids or the maintenance. It's hard to plan lifestyle. Yeah. Owning 7 or 8 HMOs, because the difference could be £300 one month to £1,100-1,200 the next month.
Yeah.
So, but if you've got a company like Greg signing a 10-year lease, it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting every month.
People are always going to eat sausage rolls.
That's it. Yeah.
Just from the one unit, it's enough to make 2 people financially free. Talking about 80-85 grand a year, aren't you? So it's big money from the one tenant, rather than how many HMO tenants you need to be getting that sort of income. It's just crazy management.
No, it's good because people often say you can be financially free from one deal, and those are the type of deals that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So how did you find this particular deal? What was the sort of process like?
So the deal was kind of off market when it was brought to us by a commercial agent that we'd built a relationship with. So that's really important.
So that's the first tip there for people are watching, is build relationships with these agents, these commercial agents, and even normal real estate agents, because they can give you these off-market deals.
Yeah. And I think the fact that we'd showed him the deal that we just finished around the corner, so I think that that showed
we were serious.
We were serious, and I said to him, "Listen, we're looking for something similar to this."
And he did bring another one to us as well, didn't he? What we nearly got, but it was like 80k.
Yes, yeah.
The auction property, so we knew we had access to funds, because we bid £1 million at one in auction, but unfortunately that went for £1,080,000, so we lost out on that one. But he knew that we were serious, because otherwise we wouldn't be bidding at the auction. So I feel that held some weight as well. And then he brought us the next deal, didn't he?
Yeah,
decent. Yeah. So did you do the numbers on that? You sort of looked at that. What was that process like?
Yeah, so ran the numbers on that, and then we had to approach investors about raising the £1 million to buy it during COVID time when we found this deal. So there was quite a lot of uncertainty from people around the commercial units, especially considering that one was vacant.
Yeah.
But it's such a prominent location in Chester. I always had belief that we'd be able to fill the units.
Is it the city centre of it? Yeah.
Yeah, right in the city centre, yeah. And plus we had that sale agreed on the Max Spielman, which de-risked it even more.
So how did you get that sale agreed before you'd gone in?
So the agent actually said to us, he said we've had some interest in from someone to buy that unit, because it was being sold as a package lot, But this Max Spielman shop is actually like an independent building from the main building.
Yeah.
So someone had approached them and said, I'm interested in buying just the Max Spielman. And they were like, no, sorry, it's just being sold as one thing for £1 million. And he was like, all right, I'm not interested in that.
Okay.
So when he said that, you know, I thought, oh, great. Well, I can approach him and offer to sell him the unit.
Sell the unit after you've bought it.
He wants the part that we don't want. You know, and he doesn't want the part that we do want.
So what did he want to do with that? That was just for...
It's just for a long-term investment, you know, just for the income. And the plan is to sell everything anyway. So...
you sell it in bits, you'll usually make more.
Yeah, and the price that we didn't tell him an asking price. We just said, what would you be willing to pay? And the price that he offered was quite a bit more than it got valued at.
There you go.
So I suppose that's another tip. You know, don't put an asking price on things. Just ask people to offer. So we were like really happy with that. We were the original thought was what we'll do is we'll like do a back-to-back sale. So at the same point as we buy the building, we'll sell off one of the units to him. Then we don't have to. We can put less money in there. But the timings didn't work out quite right. So we had to buy the whole thing, and then shortly after we sold it to him.
So you bought? Do you have to buy that not through an auction process? That was just through a standard process.
Yeah, it was standard process.
Fund, wasn't it?
It was from a pension fund. We did have to be quick though. It was a cash purchase.
It had to be cash purchase.
Yeah.
From your investors. Did you guys put any money in yourself, or was it just the investors?
Yeah, we put a small amount of money in, about 70 grand, I think it was.
Yeah.
Just as a form of commitment, I suppose.
Were these investors, were these people that you'd built up relationships with previously through sort of networking?
Yeah, so we've done a couple of deals already as well with the same investor. So we have got a relationship with him.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the story about how we funded the deal? Because that's quite a good story.
Yeah, so well, we've done, like I say, we've done quite a lot of property deals. So we have got relationships with certain amount of people, and they're the people that we always go to first when we find a property deal. We've done quite a lot of stuff with like pension trustees, SAS pension trustees.
Yeah.
Who utilise their pensions basically to invest in property or invest in other people's companies. And you know, we had structured the deal to do it with a group of SAS trustee pensions. But, you know, like Rob said, timings, we had to be speedy with this deal. You know, they wanted it to be cash and they wanted it to be quick. But I think they weren't really realistic with the timescales, were they, at the start? They was wanting, you know, a bit too fast.
Yeah.
So we was under a lot of pressure, basically, and we was financially committed to the deal as well. We'd spent a lot of money on surveys, you know, planning consultants, etc. And just unfortunately, the deal that we'd structured with these SAS trustees, it just weren't going to work out. Like, the timings weren't going to work out, and we were getting a bit worried at this point, thinking, you know, we're like 20-30 grand into this deal. Do we stick with this and maybe lose this deal, or do we approach other investors that we know and try and basically get the deal back on track and secure it? So
because there was quite a few people involved, wasn't there?
Yeah,
it was what's known as a syndicated loan. So there was about 5 people involved,
all putting little chunks in each to basically equate to the £1 million that we needed. Whereas we know that one of our investors has access to that sort of funds just on his own. So, you know, we'd already spoke to this investor about this deal, but, you know, he wasn't really up for it with the commercial units as well, the vacant units. But since then, the deal had changed a little bit because we'd found a buyer for the Max Spielman shop. So it's de-risked a little bit. And we just called up another meeting with him, you know, and you know, we wanted to meet in person so we could basically get over any questions that he had, any concerns with the deal.
And this was literally the day before we were supposed to exchange, wasn't it? So we were really stressed out. We thought we need to find this £1 million in a few days.
Yeah, so we're phoning up anyone we know, you know, even just trying to get, you know, little bits at a time, just thinking, right, can we get a full £1 million? Let's phone everyone we know with you know, 100 or 200 grand.
It's a good mindset though, because with the syndicated loan, like you said, it's just a lot of investors putting in a little bit each.
Yeah,
you could actually do that with, if you had a lot of committed friends. Do you know what I mean? If you had 10 friends, everyone putting 100 grand.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you know what I mean? You could do it.
You can do the bigger deals,
it's if people had that mindset to do that together.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And originally, when we approached this investor with you know, he's got quite a bit of money, we were just looking to replace the one of the SAS investors, you know, so we could all still work together
and get it done.
But
he prefers to just invest the full amount so he can take, you know, he wants the security that he likes. He doesn't want to share the security between a lot of different people, because that's when you can get
complicated.
You know, it can get complicated if anything was to go wrong or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, we just sat there and David Lloyd had a meeting, you know, a couple of hours later. We obviously, you know, squashed all the concerns, and, you know, the deal was back on basically. So we got the £1 million. Well, we had to put like 70k in just to, you know, show our commitment in the deal as well.
Skin in the game.
Yeah, skin in the game.
Yeah, and we didn't expect him to put the full $1 million in, did we?
Yeah.
No. So yeah, and then the next day we had it sorted and we'd exchanged on the property. So it's
that's it. So you raised £1 million in a day.
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
Fantastic. That's amazing. That's incredible.
Crazy.
So from that point, then you've raised the money, you secured it, you purchased the property. In terms of, because you said you were converting it to apartments, did you do these drawings prior, or did the planning prior that you knew you could convert that into apartments, or how did that process? What did that process look like?
So the other good thing about this deal is the conversion can be done under permitted development.
Okay.
So we don't need full planning to do it. It's just like a prior approval process. Under Class MA, it's called.
Class MA.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I did get the architect to do a feasibility to show how many apartments we could get, that kind of thing. Spoke to a planning consultant about obviously the permitted development and what's required with that. But again, that kind of de-risked the scheme, because we knew that you know, because it's prior approval, there's only a few points that they can reject the application on. And we knew that, you know, it was unlikely that would happen. So that allowed us to kind of proceed confidently with an unconditional offer.
Yeah.
So we bought it unconditionally, but
I think when we did purchase the property as well, we was under the impression we can definitely get 6, but maybe 7, and then we confirmed after we could get 7, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that was another bonus. We worked the numbers out on 6 flats with the commercial, and it turns out we got 7. So that was a bit of a bonus.
So with that, you've purchased that for £1 million. You said, I think one of the ones, was it 400k you sold the unit for?
Yeah.
And then did that funded what would be other parts of the deal? Would that be?
Yeah. So the refurb is around 350 to convert the upper floor. So the 400 grand will fund that, and then the remainder is just profit. Really. Okay. Yeah.
So what's your exit plan with it? You plan to sell it as a unit with these permitted development rights, or you're gonna fully develop it into the apartments and sell each apartment off? Or
we're gonna fully convert it. We're gonna do the build, and we're gonna sell the units off plan. So that's another way of de-risking it. We're gonna sell the apartments before they've been built.
Yeah. There we go.
And then we're close to securing Greg's as a tenant on the ground floor,
which will increase the value even more as well, just because of the quality of tenant that they are.
Yeah, and then we'll sell that off separately, because I think there'll be a lot of interest for people to buy the Greg's tenant. You know, people with SAS pensions, who can buy.
They just want the cash flow. They
just want the hands-off approach, cash flow, and like I say, like we've been talking about management tenants and stuff. That's not what they want. They just want to, they'd rather pay more and have the blue chip tenants basically.
But we do have second exits as well. We could again, rent the apartments out as serviced apartments. Yeah. We could hold on to the Greg's for the cash flow if we wanted to. There's a few
plenty
options.
Of exits that are available.
Yeah.
Okay, so to develop obviously these apartments, it sounds simple on paper, but have you guys got a sort of team in place? Do you know builders, local people who to actually build these, like reliable people, and have you had like quotes off them?
So we've got our core power team that we use and have used in the past. You're always going to have problems with converting buildings of this size. Nothing's ever going to go exactly to plan. But as long as you've got a core power team, who like and trust, and also you can replace if they are not as good as you would like them to, then everything should run as good as it can. We've got good consultants putting all the M&E stuff together. A good design team. Got an interior designer who Rob works closely with. Rob takes care of the interiors a lot more than I do, because he's got a lot better eye for stuff like that. Yeah.
We've also got a project management company as well, so we've got lots of experience of managing other people's projects.
Yeah.
And along the way, we've managed to get a number of kind of contacts along the way for contractors that we can use. I think we're in two minds at the minute about whether to employ a main contractor to do the whole job or to bring in the individual trades ourselves. Because on the previous project in Chester that I told you about, like the result was good, but the refurb didn't really go to plan. We weren't happy with the main contractor, and when you hand the job over to a main contractor, you do lose an element of control, which you kind of retain if you project manage it yourself. So I would say we're in two minds at the minute, but we're kind of leaning towards project managing it ourselves, and we might be able to do it cheaper that way. Yeah,
and I think obviously it goes without saying that you wouldn't really just want to jump into a project of this size. We've gradually grew to be doing projects of this size. So, we started off with, buy-to-lets, 5-6 bedroom HMOs. And that, because we've managed a lot of other projects as well for people. We've done, 10-bed HMOs, Sercos, that was a housing provider. Buy-to-lets, flips, small commercial conversions. We've done mixed-use buildings where we've split buildings up into a HMO, a small shop, a flat. We've done grade 2 listed buildings. So it's not like we're just going, right, let's just do 7 apartments in the Manchester city centre. We've just grew to that sort of point where we feel comfortable doing that. That's like our next step. Obviously we're going to be pushed out of our comfort zones. We're going to learn a lot of lessons, but having the right coaches and mentors as well along the way who have done lots of this stuff, of course that helps, and we've got that stuff as well, because we see great value in working with people who've already been there and done what it is that you're trying to achieve. So I'd just say take it bit by bit, don't just jump in at the deep end. When you feel comfortable and you feel like you're going to be able to deliver the scheme, if you believe in yourself, then I think that's the biggest driver. I mean, I believe in us, and I believe that we can deliver that scheme, and I believe we can deliver it better than most main contractors out there available.
Because their heart's not in it. Like, it'll be more hands off of a main contractor, but they don't actually care as much. Whereas if you're there, you can actually coach the individual trades. And if you break it down, obviously 6-7 apartments, it's just one apartment, then another apartment, then another apartment. Obviously the main sort of structure is going to be the hard part and getting it all together, but it's definitely doable. And considering your past experience, you've built up to this point, you've got the connections, as long as you're willing to put in the time to do that, then there's no reason why you can't make it achievable.
100%.
So you're going to be selling off the apartments individually. What would the sale price look like for each of those apartments? Have you got sort of looked at obviously the market and seen what 1-bed apartments usually sell for in Chester city centre?
Yeah, so all the 1-beds are a similar size, so they're worth around 185.
Wow.
And then there's a 2-bed which would be worth about 240, because of how central it is, and because we've just done this one literally round the corner from that one. We know the comparables because what they were valued at,
etc.
So that comes to about 1.3 million for the upper floors, and then with Greg's on the ground floor, because it's such a good tenant, we could sell that or get it valued on quite a low yield, 7 or 8%, and that as well will be worth about 1.3 million for the ground. 2.6 together. 2.6 for 2.6 together.
Okay.
So considering that we've sold off the Max Spielman for 400 grand, which kind of leaves a net result of 600 for that building, there's quite a lot of potential profit in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of profit in there.
Yeah.
And then with the investors, what will they want off? Will they be just getting a percentage of the final, or are they getting a certain percentage back in terms of a rate of return? How have you worked the deal with them or with the single investor?
So the way it would have been structured at the start with
the pension funds,
that generally we pay like a fixed rate of return on their funds, which is usually like 8%, something like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, under the pressures that we found ourselves under and the speed that we needed to get this deal done, we've done a bit of a profit share on top of a fixed rate.
Yeah.
So we've structured a 20% profit share and also a 10% return on the funds that he's used to give us into the deal.
Okay.
But that works, more than works for us and more than works for them. So just, again, it's about creating win-wins and basically making sure that everyone's happy and, all making some good money together.
Yeah. No, definitely. But everyone needs to eat and making sure everyone's fed well.
Yeah. I think he knew, because of how close we were to the deadline. He knew we were kind of desperate for the money. Yeah. So, our kind of negotiation position was a bit weaker than
but it's not just that. It's what, it's opening the door. But the deals that we've done previously with this investor are smaller deals. 100, 150k purchase prices. After this deal has been delivered, and he's been dished his profit, we've got our profit. I can certainly say this guy's going to be open to be doing a lot more. He'll see that these guys can deliver. He's obviously a high net worth, and that's who we want to be put in front of. We want to be working with people like that who we can scale these businesses with, instead of doing one of these conversions at a time, 2 or 3, and eventually scaling the business to be making quite a lot of money for us and our investor partners.
Yeah, so it's got to be a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes sense. So your credibility just keeps going up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
Have you thought about sort of alternative lending from just a simple bank, or is that not something that you've looked at or thought about?
We did look at that, but I think the difficulty with that is we'll need to put more money in, because we'll have to put a deposit in. Typically they'll just lend you like 75% or 70% of the purchase price, and that was money that we didn't really have available at the time. So
timelines as well, really, isn't it? Timelines and paperwork involved. It's a lot quicker to work with a high net worth than it is with a bridging company.
Yeah, literally with this guy, like we use the same loan paperwork every time.
Yeah.
So if solicitors are quick, we can sort the funds out in a matter of days. So. And with this deal, it was critical with the timing. So,
fantastic. So, if you guys were advising your younger self, and you were sort of speaking to your younger self, and you were saying, "Here's a tip, the number one tip to help you in property in the future," or you were advising a close friend or a family member or somebody who's getting started in property and they wanted to sort of get to where you are today, what would that tip be? Shall we start with Aidan and then Rob?
Yeah. I think my number one tip, which has obviously helped me a lot, and I'm hoping can help a lot of people who are listening to this or watching this, is if you are trying to raise finance from private investors in property, the way I used to do it was just over emails or WhatsApp or text messaging. It's quite easy for people just to dismiss what you're asking for. Whereas the way I do it now is I just pick up the phone and phone them and either get them to a face-to-face meeting or a phone call and try and squash all the concerns there and then, instead of just an email, and it can just be pushed to the bottom of their pile. It's not very important for them to discuss or to reply to you. And I think since we've been doing that, the success rate in us raising finance for our deals has got a lot better. And people, they are looking to speak with you, and they are looking to make money together and invest in deals. It's just that you need to get them pinned down. A lot of the people you're working with are very busy people. So if you can get them on the phone and get it all done and dusted like we did in David Lloyd, you can get some great deals done together.
Real business is done face to face.
Yeah, and I would say my point ties into that as well, because the deal was brought to us by a commercial agent that I'd met in person. I'd built the relationship with him over the phone. If you're just relying on Rightmove or the online portals to find deals, then we would have missed out on this great opportunity. So again, build them relationships face to face, because I think it is a people business at the end of the day, and people do business with other people that they like, so it's important to do that. And I would say, secondly, just be persistent as well. Like it's taken, we weren't an overnight success by any means. It was we made lots of mistakes, and it took us a long time to get to this point. And I think it was a good thing that we made that financial commitment at the start, so that we didn't give up. Because I know people along the way that I was on the course with, and they've packed it in. So it's important to
persistent,
stick it out,
never give up, keep going.
Yeah, and I'm finding that the longer we're doing it, the easier it gets.
The first couple of years are always the hardest. It's like they say, don't they? All the famous success stories. You had J.K. Rowling; she got turned down by hundreds of authors before one person was accepted. It's just whatever successful field anyone wants to go into.
Yeah.
If it was easy at the start, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
And I think that bit of pain at the start stops most people.
Yeah.
And then the people that sort of blast through, they tend to sort of, not all of them, but they can sort of come out on top, and then things start to get easier then and snowball.
It's like the deals that you're doing at the start as well. They're the toughest type of deals to get into. Yeah. Most people are fighting to find them deals.
Yeah.
You haven't got everyone who's got a spare bit of money trying to fight to find this deal in Manchester City Centre. So it's like once you fight through them battles and get through the hardest part, you are, not to say this deal's going to be easy what we're doing, but you are getting to the easier part of your journey. That's the way I see it anyway. So you know, no point in giving up when you're getting through the toughest parts. You know, just keep fighting through and keep going.
No, that's fantastic. No, it's been great to have you on. Aidan, Rob, thanks for having you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Motivation to Invest.
Right guys, I hope you found these investing tips immensely valuable. If you want to learn more about investing, feel free to join the family by hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on if you haven't already. And if you do want to take things one step further, and maybe this video has sparked an interest in you to learn more about property investing, then why not check out that first link in the description below for our property investing course and community. Now, generally our community focuses on stock market investing, but we also have an extensive property course which is continuously updated and tailored to all the relevant and new regulations which keep coming out, because anytime there's a change, that can equal potential opportunity for property investors like yourself. So if you do want to find out about that, feel free to check out that first link in the description below. With that being said, I hope you guys all have an incredible day. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you guys well in life, and I'll see you in our next video. Invest safe.